Hello, thank you so much for being with us. This is Walk With Me, Healing Talk, Redefining Destinies. Mr. and Mrs. Simbwa here, and we want to thank you and appreciate you for sending us emails. We want to thank you for following us on YouTube and on Facebook. Thank you for giving us calls and encouraging us. Thank you. So today we'll be looking at courtship. And we've been looking at dating, relationships, dating, and now we transition into courtship. And we look at courtship as a relationship between a man and a woman when they are seeking to establish the commitment that they have made to one another.
That's
Mr.
true.
Simbwa.
That's true. A lot of things happen during the courting period. There are a lot of arguments about, for example, how long courtship should be.
How long did we court?
We courted for 2 years. We dated a year and courted for 2 years, and then got married.
What were we doing in courtship?
What were we doing in courtship? That question, you know, the first person to ask me that question, when I was to be introduced, I think she was going to introduce me to her pastors. The same question was asked when I told them that we will be wedding 2 years after that meeting. So they asked me, what will you be doing during all of that time? Now, we will be talking to you about what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing during the time of courtship. But let's begin by what you shouldn't be doing, because a lot of mistakes are made during the courting time that either jeopardize the chances of ever becoming a married couple, or sometimes they even take those problems and challenges right into the marriage itself. Let's begin by saying that first and foremost, it's important. Number one, courtship is a commitment. It begins at the point the gentleman says, will you marry me? When he does that, it means that the lady says, when she says yes, then the courting has begun. Courting is supposed to be for a limited period of time. I said we courted for 2 years. 2 years has a limit. After 2 years, if I want serious, after 2 years, this lady would have been free to say, you know what, I don't see any future with you. Therefore, I'm pulling out of this courtship and relationship. Okay? So it must have a limited scope of time above which you cannot go. Okay? It's a decision you make. You can say for 6 months we shall be courting, or our wedding shall be. Introduction shall be, we have introductions here, so the introduction shall be in this time, and then our wedding shall be in this time. Now, these are things you shouldn't do. Number one, to the gentlemen, do not court more than one. Okay, do not play with girls' feelings. I am a Bible believer, and my Bible tells me, whatever a man sows, they shall reap. Okay, it might be in your generation, it might be in the next generation, but it might be even in the third generation, but you will certainly reap what you are sowing. You can't go playing around with people's feelings like that. You will propose to one, then begin a courtship somehow, then propose to another, begin what you call a courtship again. That is wrong. That is wrong, and you shouldn't be doing it. Mrs. Simbwa.
Secondly, you need to talk. Talk, because in every relationship, you need to get to know this person. This person has not been in your life for quite a while, because some get married at a certain age. So you need to know this person. You need to discuss issues, talk about your friends, talk about would you like to stay with a relative when you get married, or you wouldn't? What are your priorities? Would you like to build a house in the first year? Would you like to buy a car in the first year? Would you like to buy a plot of land in the first year? Look at your priorities. Does either of you, the husband and the wife, does any of you desire to go for a master's degree or a PhD, or, you know,
further studies generally?
Exactly. Look at finances. How are you going to take on your finances? Are you having 4 accounts? Are you having a joint account? Those are the things that you need to be talking about. Talk. How many children would you like to have? Because some people will say, we will talk about that when we are married. You need to prepare.
Let's talk about children and ourselves. When we were courting, we talked about children. This is what we said. I come from a very big family. I have 19 siblings. You heard me right. 19 siblings. Okay, so I told my wife during the courtship time that, you know what, because I come from a big family, even if I had one child, that would be enough, because then all of my siblings will bring theirs and they'll play with mine and it will be a big family. Okay, she had a different opinion. She said 3 and our compromise was 2. To date, we are blessed parents of 3 biological children, and we bless the Lord for that. So talk.
Yeah, it's important to talk. Talk about everything. Talk about your desires. Talk about your plans. And like we earlier shared some time back, your roadmap. Put your roadmap down. Where would you want to be? Where would you want to live? Some people do not want to leave the geographical areas of their parents. You know, you need to discuss that, because when you are living and cleaving, you need to really live geographically. You need to talk about your jobs. What kind of jobs do you have? Does your spouse work up country? How are you going to handle that? When young people are getting married or they are marrying, some are still in school or some are pursuing their degrees or PhDs. Plan. How are you going to work that out? Someone who is working, you're newly married, you need time to bond. How are you going to handle that? If you're working up country, how are you going to handle that? Does your wife or husband have to come over country? So talk. It is important to talk.
Okay. Next is, do not try to change your partner. Each and every one of us has an ideal spouse when we are growing. Unfortunately for me, I wrote my what I wanted in a spouse in a certain notebook, and she wrote hers too. And it was a long list. When my wife eventually landed on that list of things I wanted in a spouse, she laughed hard. She laughed real hard about it and so on. Now, because we have something, a template of what we want, it is important for us not to force our spouse to be what we wanted them to be. Number 1, it is important for you to understand that you are not perfect and you will not get 100% of what you want. Later on, we'll be teaching about that. But if you get 80%, how do you receive the other 20% that is not what? You cannot run away from 80% and look for 100. You'll never get 100. You'll never get 100 because you're getting married or you're marrying a human being. But don't try to make them the ideal you dreamt about, the magazine kind, the movies type, and so on and so forth. No, you will not get that person. Okay, instead you're going to frustrate them by their own will. Let them know, my spouse needs this or wants this or expects this, and work towards that. You cannot change a person. God alone can change a person. Now, what we're saying also is that in areas like faith, you make a conscious decision that you are not marrying somebody later to change them. As for us, our beliefs are that you cannot be equally yoked together with somebody who is not of your faith. Okay, so understand that from the very beginning, that you know what, she will change after I've married her, or he will change after I've gotten married to him. No, it will not work out. Don't try to change your spouse.
Actually, for me, I prayed. On my list first was a Canadian. I wanted a Canadian. But I received a Canadian, only that he wasn't white.
In a dark skin.
He was a Canadian in a dark skin. And much more than what was on the list. Yeah, so.
Okay, the other one, and this is very serious, there are things that usually come out when you are in the courtship. For example, behaviors begin to show. If a person is a latecomer, they will begin showing up. Those are the minors, but there are serious ones, like violence. If somebody raises their voice at you during your courtship, understand that the possibilities of them raising their hand on you when you're married are extremely high. Do not give excuses for your spouse's mistakes, okay? Because oftentimes parents, in my language, there is a proverb that says that the dark part of a person's eye, an old person's eye, sees better. Meaning that sometimes the elders might point to you and tell you, you know what, for a person who is not trying to get employed at this point, they will become a problem to you in the future. If you don't see that as a problem, when later on they are sleeping while you're going out to work, do not blame anyone. Okay? You made that conscious decision. Now, that's what we're saying. Do not see mistakes and take them for granted. Don't cover up for them. Do not cover up for them. If you're, let me use the word woman, or if your girlfriend, if the person you're courting is despising you, disrespectful towards you before your friends, understand that even in the future, the chances of them disrespecting you are extremely high. So we want to say, when you see something, take it as a cue, run from that. By the way, it does not mean that when you've said yes to a person to get married to them, that when you see danger, you still go ahead with that danger. Out of counsel, they might change, but also we want to say it is early enough for you to exit when the opportunity is available.
The other thing also, it's important to inform your parents, because the union of you two is not only between you two, but between two families. And it's very important that your parents know. It's very important that you are accountable to your pastors. It's very important that the friends that the Lord has given you get to know, because you're not hiding anything. Love is good, love is enjoyable, so let them celebrate with you. Let your parents know who is courting their daughter, or who is being courted, whose son is courting their daughter, or whose daughter is being courted.
Whose daughter is being courted. Okay. Likewise, also marry for the right reasons. Okay. Oftentimes, the gentleman will say, "Okay, my house is so dirty, so I'm going to marry. My clothes are never ironed, I'm going to marry." You're not marrying an iron. You're not marrying a chef. You're not marrying a washing machine. You're not marrying a Hoover. You're marrying a human being. You're marrying a friend. You're marrying a mate. You're marrying an equal. You're marrying somebody you love. Do you understand? So marry for the right reasons. Okay? Do not marry because everybody your age is getting married. Do not marry because and so on and so forth. So have the right reasons to marry, because when what you think are problems are aside, you'll discover that you have no more reason to go forward. But you don't want that to be your relationship. You don't want that to be your marriage. It's a lifetime commitment. So if the reasons for you to be together run out before your first anniversary, then that is absurd.
The other thing is to be accountable. We really, I don't know whether it's an African thing, but people do not want to be accountable. But you ought to be accountable. Be accountable to your spouse, because now you have made a commitment to one another. Be accountable. Let them know where you are or where you're going. If it is a trip up country, let them know. You know, it's important to be accountable, or else you will be free to talk to anyone, do anything with anyone. But now that you have committed and you're in courtship, be accountable. Let them know where you are going, where you will be, and that will help even on the communication.
Okay, lastly, we'll say that guard your heart. You are in courtship, you're not married. Therefore, there are certain things that you ought not to do during this time. Okay, you, the lady, I learned a very big lesson from my pastor now. He wasn't our pastor at that time, but I found him teaching at a certain church, and he mentioned something and said that do not go and wash clothes for a person you are engaged to. You're engaged to be married, but do not wash clothes for them, because clothes will turn into something. You'll end up being washed. You'll end up being washed. So do not go there. Okay? Do not go to iron clothes. Do not go to cook for him. Do not go to do those things, because at the end of the day, you are compromising. Why? We are going to learn about the C's in future. And when we get there, you'll discover that commitment is not the same as covenant. Do you understand? Commitment. Somebody is committed to you, they are courting you. But it's not the same as covenant. They are not married to you. They can easily change their mind. That a person is, that you're pregnant with somebody's child does not mean that you should actually discourage. If that is the only reason why you're getting married to somebody, we discourage it. Go have your child, don't get married to the person if you're not sure that is the person that you want to get married to, or if they're not ready to take you on as their wife. So what we're saying is there should be a limit. Do not ignite passions that you're not supposed to be igniting. Okay, we'll keep it at that for today, and I want to appreciate you once again for choosing to work with us on this platform. Thank you for choosing to work with us. We believe that our lives are being transformed. We believe that marriages and relationships are being transformed, as well as destinies are being changed as well. We want to appreciate you and say thank you again. We'll keep it at that. God bless you. Bye-bye.